Hey guys, Zan here. There's no script for this, it's just gonna be pure autistic rant because I'm currently crashing out because of all of this stupid stuff. Foogie's not working, so make sure to make fun of me for that and for being tech illiterate. For being ESL as well, because I'm probably gonna be butchering a lot of things, because I'm gonna be getting pretty mad. It's about the Cinder stuff. It's always about the Cinder stuff lately, of course. So here's the thing. There's this guy, Zilius, who made a stream recently where he tried to get a dunk on Rima because Rima mentioned being friends with people. And Zilius tried to make it so as if Shy Lily and Bao are Rima's friend. Which Armchair responded to that, rightfully pointing out that clearly when Rima was talking about my friends, she was talking to Elara or Straub and whatnot, because this was in reference to another unrelated drama. Long story short, not very important. That's not my main gripe with all this. See, my main gripe with all this is more of this second part here. I myself have done multiple streams poking holes in how the initial cancellation campaign was done and expressing skepticism at the initial wave of coverage for being too accommodating to the accusatory parties for the evidence they provided or only promised to provide. However, you do a discredit to any reasonable criticism of that fiasco when you have to rely on unsubstantiated conspiracy and clips presented out of context to make your point. See, here's the thing that drives me up a wall with this. Why are we still talking about this? Why are we trying to get a dunk on Rima and talking about who's friend with Bao and Shy Lily and defended them and stuff what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? We're just doing windmills with our arm and brassing a lot of hair and throwing a lot of hair around. What's the purpose of this? This serves zero purpose. This is useless. We're advancing nothing. We're gaining nothing from a discussion like this. There's no point to this other than I don't know, petty tribalism and drama and whatnot. There's so many things we could be talking about with the Cinder stuff. And Armchair even mentioned it here with how the original comparison campaign was done. One thing that drives me up the wall specifically is how Nanoless got scot-free when there were so many red flags. At some point, I think it was Red, who's Cinder manager, who was talking about getting Nanoless to going full-time and having exclusivity with Cinder, so Nanoless would only do Cinder stuff. And Nanoless was I'm not sure I really want to do that, I don't know about that. And then immediately after, asking for a Cinder plushie. Am I the only one who's taken aback by this specific screenshot and think that there's something wrong in this? And there's a bunch of other stuff from the screenshot and stuff that were showed by either party that really showed me that at best Nanoless involvement in all this was very silly, very indecisive, very unprofessional, very bad at communicating. At worst, it was extremely unethical and very backstabby. And no, I mean, some people talked about it at some point, but they talked it about such a mean and not business-centric matter. I mean, I can't expect people to all be like me and be obsessed about doing proper business and finding a way to make this very eclectic and hectic industry stable. The Cinder stuff was just more proof of my mindset that the people saying Corpo VTubing is dead and it's indie time, indie rise up and stuff is just wrong. VTuber don't need corpos to screw with their career. They'll do it to each other, no problem, anytime, any day of the week. And there's so many more topics we could be talking about in regard to like that Cinder stuff and whatnot. Like, we could talk about like conflict of interest, because like at the time, Shylily and Cinder were both like partial owner of like gamer subs, right? So like, what do you do when you have like a extremely public and personal slap fight between like some of your like talents, the face of your brand, and they're having this slap fight in public, and they both are partial owner, quote unquote. Not sure that's the exact terminology they like to use or display or talking about themselves, but you know, they own a part of the company, right? So what do you do then? You know, ethically it creates concerns because there's a bunch of conflict of interest and whatnot. Like, how do you address this as a company without, you know, with as much fairness and proper business as you can, you know? One of the easiest point would be like getting a third party to chime in and, you know, act as a mediator and try to find solutions and whatnot. You know, we don't know how they handled it, if they even handled it or acknowledged it or address it. We don't know really much about that. But, you know, here's a fun topic to delve into that would like actually have an impact, because we would be talking about like how proper business ought to be conducted. How do we push for like ethics in VTubing, more business ethics, which, you know, are always going to be, you know, a bit of a struggle and a bit of a push and pull. And, you know, there was also this part. If you disagree with our remark of our situation of grievances with Ash's response to criticism, then you are entitled to say as much. If that was all the video did, then I wouldn't have issue with it either. That said, you have to compromise between criticism and accuracy. And that's the thing that I want to push for, and Archer said it right here. Good faith discussions. Like, that's what's important here. Why are we doing that? And again, there's so many other topics. What are we going into this Izrima's friend with like Bao and Shylily, whatnot? Like, and this has zero purpose. This serves nothing. Why don't we talk about something that matters? Hey, why don't we talk about V-Card? Now, I want to make it clear that, like, this is not, like, factual truth. This is my personal opinion, right? As, like, someone who's been deep into card games for, like, about 20 years at this point, I'd want to say. V-Card, to me, I want to be very insistent on that despite my ESL. This is my opinion, this is not factual truth. To me, V-Card is a borderline scam, guys. What's, like, they have literally secondary markets showcase, like, price listing on their website. I don't know how to explain it to you, but to me, V-Card is just like a scam for collectors and whales and people who want to manipulate the secondary market to create some like a false sense of like people needing this. How would you say that in English? I'm not sure how you say it in English. Like, they're creating like a fake demand for V-Card collector stuff. Because like, I'm not saying this because it has never happened before. I'm saying this because it has happened before. Everyone remember Upper Deck? Like, Upper Deck was the original distributor of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the 90s, right? And what happened was that they lost the license to Konami in a lawsuit because they were making fake cards and proxies and then selling them to people to, like, well, just make money. And, like, there was, at some point, some very suspicious listing on the secondary market for V-Card that looked like, you know, people from the company basically selling cards. Again, I'm not saying this because I'm like schizo-paranoid, it's because it's happened. We've had like card game, merch card game and stuff, like short printing certain cards for the company to then list them themselves on their anonymous account on the secondary market to drive up price, interest and whatnot, and collectors and, you know, FOMO, whatnot, all of that good stuff, you know, which means more money for them. So, you know, there's just a lot of stuff to me that just doesn't make sense about V-Card. I mean, here's the thing. Look at this. I remember one of the biggest criticisms I had for V-Card when it originally launched was that there was no like starter kit, like debut deck, stuff like that. That's like very standard for TCG. You know, you want products that people can start with, right? Here's the thing. After, you know, the debacle, oh, by the way, the people who like bought the first edition got screwed out because then they changed the rules and the text on all the cards, so, you know, they never got compensated, to my knowledge. They never got compensated and stuff. So, you know, screw you, first edition owners. You're not getting stuff. And after all that wave of criticism, they finally decided to have starter kits. The pre-order for the first starter kits ended April 18th of last year, of 2025. And then there was nothing. And if you wanted to get a player starter kit now, you have to wait until March 20th, 2026. No starter kit on offering for an entire year. What the fuck are we doing here? No, but like, what is this? Like, this is not a playing trading card game. This is a scam. There's no way, dude. You're not gonna have starter kit for a whole year? After you didn't have any? And you didn't think that was like one of the first thing that came to your mind is like, how do we get people to like start playing the game? How do we get people to like try the game? Nah, I just released the card and who cares? Who cares, right? These should have been like baseball collecting cards, cause like they look pretty and like there's like your favorite character on them. Like, this is not a playing card game, I'm sorry. Like, okay, this is gonna devolve into V-Card rant. Because, like, this is a topic that I don't see many people talk about. When V-Card first launched, you have, like, a bunch of, like, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Magic, like, card game people talking about, like, how V-Card was terrible from the rules and stuff. Let's talk about it, you know, for real sake. I have time, sure. Like, I have it right here. At some point between, I think it was like September to December of last year, there was almost no cards on offering on V-Card. But they should made damn sure to release some hoodie, right? Meanwhile, Oshipu still had their card, and they were, you know, mostly releasing like card game related product, like a binder, sure, why not? I mean, if you're gonna buy a card, might as well buy a binder. But why is a card game company saying you hoodie when they don't have like starter decks available? When almost all of their product have sold out? But no, let's release the hoodie. Sure. Why? What's this is not a trading card game. Okay. By the way, this is definitely gonna be like some sort of stream at this point of me hating on V-Cards because I just cannot stand its existence. Like, and I'm mad because I care, Ryan. That was such a good idea. VTuber card game. Of course it's a good idea. Yes, people love VTubers. People would buy merch. And imagine like having a trading card game with every VTuber. You can make your Oshi deck and stuff. That's basically Oshipush, right? But Oshipush doing it so much better. V-Card is printing out stuff and without a care or thought or any planning. Like, here's an example to make sure you guys understand how irreparably fucked V-Card is as a product. Have you ever heard of the anti-rule, guys? That was in like the first rule set for V-Card, and when I realized they had the anti-rule, I lost my mind. I actually crash out. Like, I can't believe that in the year, when was V-Card first released? I believe it was late 2024, early 2025. I don't believe in the year of our good Lord 2025, we still have a card game with the anti-rule. So the anti-rule, right, is basically if you lose the game, like you beat a card at the start of the game, and whoever wins the game wins that card, right? That's how anti works. Which is a dumb rule, by the way. It's not a rule that should exist. You shouldn't lose card for losing your card game. Well, here's the thing. The rule didn't come from nowhere. In 1993, Magic the Gathering first invented the anti-rule for Alpha. That was like... Alpha was basically like... the Alpha test for like Magic the Gathering. And you know, nobody liked that rule. That rule was so bad that it was banned in 1995. You couldn't play card with anti in tournaments. Like tournaments started in early 1995, by the way. So basically, as soon as like actual competitive play started, they decided, like, you know, screw anti. We're banning anti. Who cares about anti? Like, anti's terrible. You're just gonna make people mad for, like, making them lose cards to their opponents. And then, in, like, some of the early, like, rulebook edition, they then decided that, like, you know, anti, you know, just house rule it. Just don't play with it. It's fine. Who cares, right? You don't have to play with it. You don't have to lose your card, you know. But, like... You know, normally, house rules, like, you don't write house rules on paper, on guide for the actual game. It's because anti was such a bad idea. And V-Card released with it. V-Card released with anti. V-Card has 30 years of card design debt. Of gameplay design debt. Of just straight up nonsense. 30 years! Sorry, I'm a little bit mad. See? That's a topic we can talk about. You know, respecting your consumer, making an actual viable product and not just selling them glorified baseball cards. Here, an actual topic. But no! Instead, let's talk about, like, Remo is friend with Bauer Shiny. That's why they offended her. I can't, man. Screw this. I just can't. I definitely gonna make a V-Card rating stream after this. No, but, like, seriously, why? What's the point? Who was on the V-Card design team? I need to know who designed the rules and the cards. There's no way it was someone who's like played a card game. It's either someone who's not played a card game in like a normal setting in like decades, or it's like the most business shark, money hungry, dystopian dude with like a nice suit that he paid like $200 for, but he's trying to pass it as an Armani suit. I don't know, that's just... This is terrible. I don't know how many times I have to explain to you this is terrible. See, I wrote it here. It released in 2025 rules that was identified as worsening the game experience and discontinued in 1995. V-Card game design is 30 years old! Why aren't we talking about this instead of talking about Remo's friend with the machine? I don't think you guys have ever seen me this emotional and this crashing out that much, but I care about this shit. That's why I'm mad about all this stuff. Like, I wish people would focus more on stuff like this instead of, you know, who's friend with who. Like, I want to be focusing about, like, respecting your consumer, respecting the fans, proper business ethic, avoiding conflict of interest, making the industry more stable, treating everyone from top to bottom with, like, more respect. Like, treating people as people more? But no. Look. I've had those emotions pent up for a while, and that's one of the reasons I got an IRL job as well, because I got kind of tired of all this. I had to get it out. I'm sorry to like Zilius and like Armchair for like bringing them in this rant, but like I just had to get it out. Alright, I'm just so done with it. You know, I keep having people telling me, like, yeah, you are so right about this. Like, we should look into this and stuff. And then never contact me again. And I'm like, why would you tell me that I'm right and then just, you know, just ghost me, walk away? Do people even really actually care about being treated right? Like, do VTubers actually want to be treated like, you know, performers, like professionals, instead of just being walked over? Do fans even care about getting, like, proper products and, like, getting their money's worth and, like, not being treated like, you know, cows? Do, like, you know, actual industry people want this industry to, like, grow? I don't know, man. Yeah, I really crashed out on that one. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll upload this to YouTube for those who care at this point. Alright, I'm just done, guys. Okay, bye.